People get so caught up in the balance of Overwatch that they begin to forget what really matters. Design. There is so much content made about balance, like patch note reviews, tier lists of every season and mid-season patch, worst to best of characters. I've even made some of these myself in the past. It's very common to watch and consume content about balance of the game. Well, none of this matters if design sucks. If the design of the heroes is terrible and the design of a map or the game mode is fundamentally flawed, this balance doesn't matter. Watching this doesn't matter. It doesn't add any insight. I want to bring to you a different argument. Patch notes and us as people should focus on the design of the different characters and the different maps and the different modes first, and then the balance secondly, because the balance is the easy part. Come with me and let's take a deep dive into design versus balance. So this is a bit of a stupid question, because of course design matters, you know it matters, we all know it matters, I don't need to explain to you why it matters, but I thought let's just really go over it. Design to me is fun. What makes the game fun is the design of all the characters, the way the heroes are created. Now I think most of you will agree with that, even if you don't even realize it. What's your favorite part about Overwatch? And you might name a character, you might be like, my favorite part about Overwatch is playing Genji. That's the design. That's design doing its job. That's not, oh, my favorite thing is the fact that Genji is strong at the moment, right? You would never say that. You would say you enjoy playing Genji, regardless of his state in the meta or his balance or any of that. The unique hero design is what makes this game so distinct compared to every other game on the market, especially hero shooters. There are now quite a few hero shooters out there. Why would you come back to Overwatch? Because of its unique heroes and the way they're made. Especially with new ones. If you're staying around because you enjoy new hero releases, that means you're a big fan of the way the design team right now create heroes. Which means design is like the most important thing in the entire world. Just bar none. It just is the most important. Content is kind of what gets people to stay for maybe a long time or to get people to come back. But what actually really hooks people, and we think about this when we look back at the dead period of Overwatch between that 21, 22, 23 time, right, is hero design, map design, game mode design. You leave this game as it is right now, sure, people will stop playing. People will stop coming back, but the people that like Overwatch will probably play the game indefinitely until maybe somehow they get bored. Because think about it. It's just so perfect. It's like how a sport like the game of football in England, right? They don't really need to change up the content of the game. The game's been the same for the past who knows how long. They might do slight rule adjustments, but nothing changes fundamentally about the game. But it's so well made that you would play it forever. That's why design is important. This is also a really stupid question, why does balance matter? But again, same reason as last, I just thought I should, allow you to understand the way that I think so that my following points make more sense and you get an insight to how I think. So why does balance matter? Balance is kind of what makes the game competitive. Now, I don't necessarily think you need the game to be perfectly balanced for it to be competitively viable, but when we talk about competitiveness, we look at how the game is balanced, right? So if you have huge outliers, so you have a character with a 40% win rate and you have a character with a 60, your game's not balanced, and so it lacks a lot of competitive depth because it's very obvious what character is the strongest and weakest. There's less versatility in team comp. What this means in Overwatch is why on some maps and some teams will personally play a team comp and a hero more than another one might. It's because the balance is good and then the design is good, so they can start playing and experimenting with different comps that work better for them than other people. Now, we've seen this before with Marvel Rivals. It shows that balance doesn't necessarily equate to fun. People love Marvel Rivals and have said that it's, the best hero shooter to come out of the gaming scene in the last 5 years or whatever. And people prefer it to Overwatch. That game's not balanced. It's not balanced for shit, and everyone knows it. It's one of the big things about it. It's not balanced, but people don't care, and the general people at least don't care. The only people I see complain about it are maybe people that play the game for a living or play it so much that they're exposed to it a lot. But for the general person, balance doesn't really matter. And like an anecdote from a person who slightly plays League of Legends, right? Because I'm not super invested into that game and super number one fan that pays attention, I don't really know if it's in an unbalanced state or what's balanced. I don't know the weakest champ and the strongest champ at the moment. I just kind of play what I like, and then if I dislike something, I go, oh, I dislike that. But I don't know why. But I'm sure there's people out there that play League so much that they are like, yeah, it's so unbalanced. I mean, this character's so broke. But I wouldn't know. That game also has lane bias and champ pool bias, but that's a different thing. Balance is sort of like the fence around the game to keep everything in check. So you have your field, right, with all the design, all the beautiful maps, all the beautiful designed heroes in it. You then put a fence around it to contain it all and make sure it's all balanced. What you don't want is things in the field getting out. That's essentially what balance is. Outliers, you just push them back in, and once you're in the field, it doesn't really matter. So between 48% and 52% win rates, the game designers don't really care because these aren't outliers. They're in the field. Right, they're fine. But once you get to maybe 56, 58, they're like, yeah, I need to put my cow back in. That's not good. My cattle can't go that way. And that's sort of how balance works. Now, something that's very important to talk about is when it's a design problem or when it's a balance problem. To put it very simply, for me, a design problem is when a hero or a thing feels unfair to play against. So a hero could feel like there's less counterplay, there's not many options you can do. It's not that they just feel inherently broken, it's more of that it feels unfun to play against and is unsatisfactory to play against. Balance, however, is more of what's oppressive and what feels like it's too strong and it does too much, right? So a character right now could have way too much armor on their thing and they feel oppressive, but it's not unfair, it's just they're stronger in the meta. Now that does simplify it a lot, because obviously there's bigger problems, you obviously have different heroes might have worse design in some areas, but some parts are good, and some parts might be so poorly balanced, you think it's bad design. So for instance, Orissa's Fortify, it's not an ability I love. I don't love Orissa's Fortify, but it feels poorly designed because I think they've got the numbers the wrong way. They're making it slow you and they're giving more tankiness for it and removing a lot of options from the use of Fortify, which is not really design's fault because the way the ability works is still kind of the same, but they've definitely balanced it in a way that makes it feel unfair. And I think that is where there's a bit of an overlap in a weird area. So to give examples to what I mean is that a hero like Roadhog cannot possibly be balanced into being well designed. It's not possible to release a balanced patch that makes Hog well designed. Inherently, the way he plays is poor hero design. The hook one shot is bad, take a breather sustain is bad, the selfish nature of that character is bad. These things can't be changed through number tweaks and just small patches. He needs a complete rework to the character to completely change his design. And that's what I mean by design versus balance. And on the opposite side, a hero like Tracer rarely actually gets any changes or patches. She sometimes just gets a spread buff or spread nerf again the next season, or a small amount of damage fall off, stuff like that. Nothing crazy, because she's already designed so well that it doesn't even feel like you need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. She's perfectly designed, and once you find a spot where she's balanced, you don't really have to change her. So characters like Winston and Tracer and Genji find that they don't come up that often in patch notes, and if they do, it's very minor tweaks, because the characters are perfectly designed and then over time have been balanced into a state that they can just stay in. It's very hard. Unless power creep happens, these characters won't go weak. So yeah, that's when it's a design problem and a balance problem. Very, very simple. This is the last section. Welcome to the last section of the video. Apart from the outro, that's technically the last. But we're going to be going over why you should start thinking about hero design and why balance doesn't matter to a degree. I want you to start reading patch notes with this sort of mindset, and I think it can really change the reception to a lot of things. When you look at minute changes, you can be quick to brush them off as just, oh, it's just a small little change. But if it's a change in the wrong direction, that shows a misunderstanding from the dev team about what that character should be. And that's where you can slightly get some problems that come up with Orisa and Hog quite a lot. I'm kind of just telling people to start thinking about design, and that is slightly my own bias to the fact that I really like hero design and I like hero design discussion, and I would love people to talk about hero design more so my videos are more receptive, you know, and so people can engage with this kind of stuff. I think it's very fun, and I was trying to promote that idea here that hero design is what's more important than balance in every way. So yeah, think about hero design firstly, and then balance when you're playing the game. So when you die to something stupid, don't just complain about like, oh, they need to nerf this guy. Maybe there's something unfun or a bad mechanic there, and we can think about that and talk about that and try and understand that. And you can also learn to understand why you love something and why another person might not, regardless of balance. On the point about how balance doesn't matter, which is, I know, a big statement, it's kind of like a clickbaity statement type of thing. Balance is largely irrelevant for the most part. The only times it really matters and we need to talk about it is the two extremes, when something's too weak and when something's too strong. That's really where balance starts to matter. Overall, that's why we can have these patches of like design stuff and not have to worry about the extremes. For the most part, Overwatch does not have extremes, right? We usually are fairly self-contained. There's clearly something that's slightly stronger and slightly weaker, but everything is playable and everything is good. And that's where a lot of the big patches come in to shake up things, not in necessarily a meta way, in a way of, wow, this guy can do this. I think perks have really enabled this. We look at all the big perk changes coming to season 18. I know talking about this kind of dates the video, but talking about season 18, they're changing like almost every hero's perks, right? That's design. It's mostly design choices that does, and that can really shake up the game. Perks adds a whole nother layer, right? We add more choice, we add more decision making, and we add ways to change the way a character plays, which means we can change our balance decisions and our patch decisions. So perks are great. Perks I could also talk about how perks are like negatively impact things in this way, but I think perks do a lot. And I want to end on this point with this thing. If it's fun, it's fun. Don't add any strings to it. I think sometimes that's the way to live. And I know that repeats a lot of what I ever say, but if something's fun, it's fun. And that's what design really is all about. Hey, that's the video. This has been also fun to make. It's been a long amount of work. You probably noticed I've changed shirt around the video because, yeah, I recorded this over the course of a week because I wanted to put a lot of effort into what I was saying and make sure it was structured well and edited well. And I did some random editing. So, like, honestly, if you're done with the video, I'm not going to add any more points. I just want to generally talk to you guys that stuck around. So, I hope you enjoy the editing style of this video. And I will add more of these elements. And I do want to do stuff where I film talking outside. You know, all those little B-roll shots. I want to then film in them, but I need to get some mic gear for that first. But I hope it adds some level of professionalism and enjoyment and can take you between sections instead of it just being background gameplay and yap. And I like doing different camera angles here, and I like talking directly to a camera. About the video, I just wanted to generally bring up a thing that I think about a lot, and I think it's an important point. I just want to, you know, give an insight into the way my brain might work, and I want to open up the discussion for, you know, what do you guys think about design? What do you guys think about these different design elements? What's your favorite part? What's this, that? And it was more of a fact. I think normally I do a lot of opinion stuff, but this is a lot more of, here's the difference between design, here's the difference between balance. It is kind of fact, but I did want to add a bit of my own insight and opinions, and I'm open to discussion, disagreement, and all that. At the time I'm recording this part, we've hit 1,000 subscribers. So I want to say thank you, and I will definitely do a video talking about it. Maybe release in the same time as this, or maybe another time. But yeah, I don't want to yap too much. It is just the end of the video, but thanks for all this. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and what you want improved, what you liked about it, what you preferred about the old stuff, and blah, 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 blah. I want to keep innovating, keep changing, doing things like, you know, doing whatever. And I will stream more on Squid Overwatch on Twitch, which I will then post that content to Squid TV or Squid Live, whatever I'm calling it. And yeah, peace out, enjoy the rest of your day, subscribe for more.